o'clock hour, and one of our favorites of all time, Zach Gelb, Infinity Sports Network, with us on 365 Sports. So who would win, 100 men or one gorilla?
100 men. So it'd be one gorilla. 100 men would be screwed.
Yeah.
But one gorilla, easily.
Zach, my theory on this is that at least 25 are going to run away the minute the gorilla gets one. Right? Maybe more.
Well, let's be real. Who are the 100 men? If we're throwing Smokey out there, he's got a back issue, a hip issue, a knee issue. He's screwed. That gorilla would look at him like easy peasy work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I think there's a fear factor of, let's go fight this gorilla. And the first time he throws a guy out of the way, there's going to be a bunch of those guys who are this is a terrible idea.
It's a mean.
I don't want to be I think we can win in the end, but I don't want to stick around to find out.
Yeah. The face.
A hot take. I'm not going after a gorilla. All right.
Yeah. I'm not going to be among 100 or 1,000 or whatever they want, because I've seen them up close in a zoo, and I'm not going there. Zach, which player who was drafted, no matter when, but a specific player who was drafted, do you think that the players, the best reaction from the teammates, thrilled that he's a part of their team?
You know what? I think Ashton Genty is one where, if I'm understanding the question correctly, you look at the Raiders, Brock Bowers has to be thrilled. You look at Geno Smith, who is a fine quarterback, not a great quarterback. Genty becomes more of the face of that offense, and he's going to carry, I think, the majority of the reps here, where they're going to be giving the ball to him a ton. I look for them to be a run first. And Pete Carroll, also someone that won with Marshawn Lynch, and people really remember Marshawn Lynch more so than Russell Wilson, especially earlier in the time of the tenure in Seattle, and plus the LOB as well. So I think Ashton Genty is the one, to me, where it fires up the organization a lot, even though they still have to figure out the offensive line to block for Ashton Genty.
Do you think that Shedeur Sanders will eventually be a starting quarterback in Cleveland?
Yeah, I think he's going to start multiple games this year for the Cleveland Browns. Here's my opinion on this. I think Dylan Gabriel will be on the roster and Shedeur Sanders will be on the roster. 3rd round pick, 5th round pick. I don't think they're cutting either. You don't use a 3rd round pick and then cut him. You could for a 5th round pick. I don't think Shedeur is your typical 5th round pick. He's, to me, a 1st round talent. I think more people viewed him as a 2nd round. And then what I heard with the interview process, that's why he's clearly has fallen. The real quarterback battle in terms of keeping the roster spot, because forget about Deshaun Watson. He's never played another game for the Cleveland Browns. It's really between Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, because you could carry 3 quarterbacks. And right now, I can't believe I'm saying this, I actually think Kenny Pickett is going to be the week 1 starter. And then you will see Shedeur Sanders when Kenny Pickett doesn't play well eventually on the field, maybe even Dylan Gabriel, depending on the order. But I do think that Joe Flacco could maybe get dealt to a team this offseason if someone goes down maybe in training camp, or maybe they just do the courteous thing. We'll get rid of you, Joe, and Joe, go find somewhere else where you could maybe go play, because we're going to be rotating quarterbacks in and out this year.
Zach, Shedeur has been talked about widely, and you just touched on it there, but was there any other quarterback pieces that you found of particular interest, maybe the guys that went ahead of him, like a Jackson Dart, even a Tyler Shuck, or maybe even the Quinn Ewers storyline of him falling all the way to damn near the end of the draft?
So here's how I ranked the 5 quarterbacks when this started. I had Cam Ward right before the draft. This is my 5 rankings. Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders 2, then I had Jalen Milroe 3, Dylan Gabriel actually 4, and then Jackson Dart 5. So the fact that he fell to the 5th round is crazy. Going into the draft, it felt like he could fall out of the 1st round. I thought Pittsburgh would take him at 21. They didn't elect to do so. All right, he then falls out of the 2nd round. Crazy. The 3rd round, though, how no one took him, especially when the Raiders had 3 chances to do so, that was wild. I would have preferred the Giants, if they were trading up and taking a quarterback, to take Shedeur Sanders over Jackson Dart. If I'm a Saints fan, I'd rather have Shedeur Sanders over Tyler Shuck. And then the place that he goes to in Cleveland, we were talking about Cleveland all along, but once they take Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, which I had Nathan Zagora on yesterday as part of the Browns Radio Network, he said Dylan Gabriel was the 2nd quarterback on the Cleveland Browns board. The only quarterback they liked better was Cam Ward. So that was a stunner too. And then the fact they take a quarterback in the 3rd round, and they go get Shedeur in the 5th round, that was wild. The team I'm most disappointed in, though, was Pittsburgh, because I know you drafted a running back, and then you also drafted Jack Sawyer too, and you passed on him at 21. Okay, fine, passing on him at 21. But what's your plan at quarterback? You're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers for a year, and then you're going to be looking for a quarterback next year. And it's a bunch of stopgap options anyway. I would have taken the risk on Shedeur that late in the draft. Also, with the fact that Mike Tomlin knows how to eliminate distractions, he does a pretty good job at that. Just look, Antonio Brown was on his team for all those years, and we didn't hear much negatively about Antonio Brown.
You know, with Aaron Rodgers, like I know, like there were all these things about, you heard all this noise about chemistry and distractions. Well, what's the difference, if you're Pittsburgh, between, Aaron Rodgers and his whatever weird comes out of his brain that day and Shedeur and shiny jewelry? I mean, it's not. I would rather take the rookie that I have a chance to keep 100%. For longer.
100%. And I'm so sick of Aaron Rodgers. Nothing against Aaron, but at this rate, you should be playing the game to win a Super Bowl. And we know you're not going to get to another Super Bowl. We know you're not going to win another Super Bowl. So I'm kind of done with the Aaron Rodgers stories. He'll go to Pittsburgh. He'll probably win 9-10 games. They'll make the playoffs potentially. And maybe at best they could win a playoff game, but they'll probably lose on Wild Card Weekend, which the Steelers have always done. Since their last playoff victory back in the 2016 season. But to me at this point, there's nothing great that's going to come out of the Aaron Rodgers story. So quite frankly, I'm good if he just would walk away and retire. I've had enough of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And, let new blood come in. Now, if he could all of a sudden have a magical year, who knows? But, man, just let the new blood come in. Cowboys at 12 took Tyler Booker. I know it's been a few days, but they took the Alabama offensive lineman, the guard. They need that. There were thoughts maybe wide receiver McMillan's gone, maybe running back didn't work out with Genty gone. Did they make the right decision?
I have no problem with it, and I feel like I've been in the minority on this. And I know people be like, oh, it's a guard. Oh, the Cowboys. And trust me, I love beating up on the Cowboys. I call them the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. But I thought they made a good pick. And also, there's such a misnomer about the Cowboys because for years, they had one of the best offensive lines in the league. The last few years, the offensive line has not played well. They've lost a lot of pieces, whether it's a retirement or guys going elsewhere. So they needed an interior offensive lineman. I got no problem taking an offensive lineman here at 12, a guard with the 12th overall pick. Because like you said, Genty was off the board at that time. Tedero McMillan was off the board at that time. So, like, what else did Cowboys fans or NFL fans really want the Cowboys to do? Offensive linemen are like starting pitchers. You can never have enough of them, so I'm good. And if he could go on and play for 8 to 10 years in this league, I don't think people are going to look back and be like, oh, that was a bad pick.
I don't think I think the thing fans want is them to help themselves immediately because it's been 29 years. And while that fills an immediate need, maybe helps them immediately, it's not Tedero McMillan. It's not Ashton Genty. It's not that. So it's not as exciting. And they didn't really do much to address. I mean, Jaden Blue in the 5th round, but they didn't do much to address the playmaker issue that they have.
Sure.
But, they're not aggressive and they have that myth about them.
But that goes more than the draft. The Cowboys last year, we're all in. Yeah, okay. And then this year, we're going to be selectively aggressive. Well, I'm still waiting for them to select when to be aggressive. They've, once again, have botched this offseason. So I get the pick, but they could have addressed this number 2 wide receiver issue before the draft, and they also failed to do so, which is, I think, something we need to bring up.
Well, look, they know 2 ways to get players: draft them or sign them to 1-year deals. That's it. That's all they know. And it's crazy. And they're in a division now that not only has the team who's doing it better than everybody else when it comes to personnel, the Eagles, they have a Washington team that is run by competent human beings and has an elite quarterback for the first time in 2 generations, maybe it feels like. So,
Craig, you hearing that stuff all right? Like, aren't you a Commanders fan, right? You doing all right?
But all 3 of these guys.
About your team? Oh, really? 3. All Commanders fans?
Everybody but me.
Garrett is producing director. He's a Commanders fan. Craig is. We are all right now on cloud 9.
I am a long-suffering Cowboys fan who has to listen. Who has to listen to Stephen Jones say stuff like "so-called drought." Yeah.
It's a drought.
It's not so called.
Put it this way. I was born in 1994. Sorry, Smokey, to make you feel old. I don't ever remember the Cowboys being this all-time great team like they were for all these years. They haven't won a Super Bowl since I've been born, and they have not even been back to an NFC championship game pretty much since I've been born. That's a long time, 30 years.
You were 2 when they beat the Steelers, and that's it. That's it. And you're not going to remember that either.
And let's be real, I probably had crappy takes then, and I was probably a pain in the ass at 2 then as well.
Zach, is there a team that's like, especially a classically bad team that surprised you with not just their early picks, but the whole of their draft?
I actually love what the Browns did, even though it was unconventional. And they took 2 running backs. I like both running backs and Junkins, and then also Dylan Sampson. I thought he was a very underrated player. I would have never thought that I would be praising them for passing on Travis Hunter, but to get a future one and also get Mason Graham, who was my 3rd best player in this draft class. The only 2 players I had in front of him were Abdul Carter 1 and then Travis Hunter 2. I thought that was a really good pick, and I thought Mason Graham had the best individual performance we saw in a single game last year in college football with that great performance up against Ohio State. And then you get, I don't love the Dylan Gabriel pick, but you end up getting Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. And you get the linebacker from UCLA. I thought that the Cleveland Browns, who are always picking to the draft and they never get it right, I thought they did a really good job.
Zach, you saw the note perhaps today. I know Kirk Bowles of the Houston Chronicle used to write for the Austin American-Statesman about Texas and their roster. Maybe as high as 35 to 40 million, including the settlement money. How long, if that's the case, is that sustainable?
I have no clue. This NIL stuff, I'm pro NIL. I'm pro transfer portal. I'm pro for player empowerment here, but I have no clue what to believe anymore. Like you hear a player gets $4 million. Did he really get $4 million? You had the UNLV situation last year, the Nico Iamaleava situation this year. There needs to be some rules. There needs to be some guidelines, but let's be real. You had Coach Peterson, who was on my show. I said, you should be the commissioner of college football. He said, yeah, no way. I don't want to do that. Nick Saban, oh, you should be the commissioner of college football. Yeah, I don't want to do that. We could all sit here and say that we want change, but I don't know how the change is going to go about it. My advice, there should be one transfer portal window, and maybe there should be a limit on how many times you are allowed to transfer. I'm good with giving guys two transfers, and maybe you could have some exceptions in there. But until that stuff gets figured out, I don't think that's coming anytime soon. It's the Wild Wild West, and it's the world that we live in, and we all love college football. So let's be real. As we say all the time, we're addicted to college football, so they can do whatever what they want to the product. We'll still watch each and every Saturday and be fired up for it.
Yeah, just a couple of subtle changes that to me make sense. But then again, if they get sued, they lose.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The spring transfer portal window. Do we need this? Like, if you can't figure out that you want to transfer in December, why do you need to get another transfer portal window opens up? And I think that's the rotten part of it is the second transfer portal window.
Yeah, in fact, we had Willie Fritz on yesterday, and he was talking about that. They were, coaches here that maybe there's just be the one that will be in January. Of course, the coaches are not in those meetings, though. It's the presidents, it's the commissioners, maybe ADs, I don't know. And it's like the wrong people who are the ones dealing with the rosters are the ones that have no say in it.
So people not actually making the decisions that are the most instrumental. It sounds like college sports for me for my entire life. It's always backwards.
All right, so now that the draft is over, Kansas City with Mahomes, we know that they're going to be good as long as he is still there. We know what Buffalo's done. We know what, obviously, the defending. And by the way, the Eagles right there in your backyard, Paul texting, he and I texting during the draft, they now seem to just always make the right pick, that everything comes to them, and they just keep compiling great talent.
And it wasn't that long ago that we shredded the Eagles and Howie Roseman for passing up on Justin Jefferson in the draft and DK Metcalf, and he took JJ Arcega-Whiteside and Jalen Reagor. It's funny when you win how those things could change rather quickly. But I look at the NFL right now. I'll tell you this. I think 2 teams I'm fascinated by this year, how we're going to be talking about them at the end of the year. The San Francisco 49ers, because I think the Niners are closer to missing the playoffs than going to a Super Bowl again. I ultimately think they'll be a wild card team, but they had to get rid of a lot to go pay a Kittle, to go ultimately give this deal that they'll end up giving to a Brock Purdy that they haven't done yet. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, you got Burrow, you got Chase, you got Higgins. I don't know what's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson, but that's a team that had the Triple Crown leader last year. The winner last year, and Jamar Chase. You had Joe Burrow led the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks, and they couldn't do anything in terms of making the playoffs. So They can't afford to get off to slow starts. So I'm fascinated by how we're talking about the Bengals at the end of the season and also the San Francisco 49ers because they've been close. They've had their opportunities to get the job done, and they've come up just short.
Zach, what's been the reaction to all the interview with Bill Belichick and his girlfriend? It just seemed like that is headed for a collision that's not good.
How old are you? Just wondering.
66 tomorrow. No, Friday.
66. Like, could we imagine Smokey rolling in with a 23, 24-year-old girl? It's just weird. I'm 30 years old, guys, and I don't even know if I would date a 24-year-old for crying out loud. That's 73 and 24. I understand it's not illegal, but it is bizarre. And Bill Belichick, think about this. He has had to answer questions about Aaron Hernandez murdering someone, right? And now all of a sudden, Bill needs Jordan Hudson. And I'm a Patriot fan. I love Bill Belichick. He needs his girlfriend to be holding his hand in the interview about some puff piece that's going to be on 60 Minutes when everyone knew how they met anyway. Like, what are we doing here? It's Bill, you are better than this. And I saw today that some post, I think this is true, Stephen Belichick's wife is saying, oh, publicists don't act this way and they don't act like have a temper tantrum. They have to act professional. The whole thing is weird. Bill should be coaching in the NFL. Bill shouldn't be at UNC. You could thank the Falcons for messing that up. But how he's allowing his girlfriend to do this, Bill Belichick, the coach that I know, would never allow these distractions to occur. I'm curious how it's going to play out this year. I hope Bill has success at UNC, but it's bizarre. I think that's the best way to say it. The one word to sum this whole thing up, bizarre.
Look, they say it's undefeated.
He's whipped.
I mean,
you know, she has him by the balls, and his balls may be deflated, honestly.
Yeah.
He did release a statement earlier this afternoon trying to explain everything, that it was supposed to be just about football.
Did she write the statement? Is this actually a statement from Bill? Like, I don't buy that Bill Belichick.
It might be from her.
Yeah.
It might be from her.
It probably is. Or one of his PR people got the, like, Bill is the ultimate non-distraction guy. And we're sitting here, you know, Jordan and I met this way. And, you know, I just want people to talk about the positives in my book. Like, what are we doing here? I've had enough with this story, if I'm being honest with you.
Good.
Yeah,
All right.
good.
Well, good. We'll never mention it again either.
CBS, by the way, said no. That's not what the deal was.
Well, those interviews are usually puff piece interviews.
Yeah.
So she must have been that obnoxious that CBS was like, screw her, and how she handled this was so ridiculous. We're going to blast her. Good for CBS. I have no problem with it on CBS's part.
All right, man. Get some a little bit of time down with the draft. I know you're working every day, but what do you look forward to the most next? Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA playoffs. What do you look forward to next?
Yeah, so the NBA playoffs, I'm usually very down on the NBA just because I hate the regular season product. But the fact that they're letting everyone maul one another now, I've thought the NBA playoffs already have been unbelievable. I was at the Knicks game last night up against the Pistons, and Stanley Cup hockey is great. But I actually get into college football mode now because we get a taste of all the college football players that just were a part of it with the draft. And this is where I really start to do the deep dive and talk to coaches and talk to players for the build-up for the 2026 or 2025 regular season in college football.
I got an email from a media relations guy at UCF on a Scott Frost interview that we'll get, and he was like, we wanted to wait until the end of spring and then the portal closing, but it really is never closed, and now we're waiting for the last few things to shake down. It never ends, but you're right. It's that time to hear from the coaches, players, whoever, and start to look ahead. I can't wait.
And also, I'm going to Vegas tomorrow, so maybe I'll see Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend at a pool party. That could be a possibility.
Good luck. I hope so.
Thank you, buddy. Infinity Sports Network, great friend of the show, Zach Gelb, with us on 365 Sports. That story has truly been interesting to watch. I didn't read the statement, so I just wasn't going to go there.